Right now at 5, conservationists help fight back with the help from a new law targeting invasive plants.
And thunderstorms pushing into the area this morning. Some of those could be strong to severe. We'll have a look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, a wild pursuit through town ends in a crash at a storage facility and a suspect in custody.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is Thursday, July the 17th, and we talked about thunderstorm chances this morning. A few more storms out there than what we were looking at yesterday at this time, but nonetheless, storms pushing in, and we've already had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings this morning as well. Nothing active at this point, but of course, we'll keep an eye on it for you. We're going to start with that look outside downtown Pittsburgh. Of course, looking to the south and east at this point, but it's back to the north and west. And we have these thunderstorms pushing in from MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline, looking good so far. So here's what we've got on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. And just in the last few sweeps, a few little showers now developing parts of Bourbon and Crawford counties. So we're going to start up here in the northern portions of our area in the southeast Kansas. So the 54 corridor west out of Fort Scott, Iola, Yates Center, back toward Eureka, north of Chanute. We have these thunderstorms, and these storms earlier were severe. We had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings out there with gusty winds upwards of about 60 miles an hour were the primary concern with those storms as they push through the area. So no severe thunderstorm warnings at this time, no watches or anything at this time either. And similar to yesterday, our threat is still just a level 1 out of 5, but that still is a chance for strong to severe thunderstorms. We also have this activity. It's been flaring up quite nicely here around Chautauqua County, north of Cedar Vale. So this is some new thunderstorm development. It stretches back west out of our immediate area, back toward Winfield and our Kansas City. And then back into Crawford County, we have new showers now up around the Hepler area, northwest of Girard, and a few new showers that are just to the northwest there of Pawnee that you see on the radar. So the reason that's important is all of this actually that we're seeing is new development that's taking place. We had that line of thunderstorms up north that kind of fizzled out, and we've had new thunderstorm development kind of take off pretty quickly across the area. And again, we did have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings for parts of Anderson and Lynn counties in the southeast Kansas. But again, no active warnings. But take a look at how quickly this activity here flares up as well, but kind of lifting north into this. So we'll continue to watch these storms. If any warnings or anything do pop up, we will certainly let you know. But one thing or another, it is definitely a loud morning, quite a bit of lightning with these storms, a lot of electrical activity. So you want to make sure that you're playing it safe. You don't want to mess around with that lightning out there because again, whether the storm is severe or not doesn't matter. It can still be dangerous and deadly with the lightning. As we go into the afternoon, we have through the southern half of our area that isolated wind risk. Now, we didn't have it yesterday, but honestly not surprised to see it. So we are talking some storms could produce those 60-mile-an-hour winds. We'll have scattered storms again through the morning. Our chances are best now, then we'll become a little more scattered as we head into the late afternoon and evening hours, and then we'll kind of even pause for some of us before we see new storm development overnight tonight heading into the first part of our Friday. 78 Joplin, 77 in Pittsburgh. There's the cold front. That's what's triggering these storms. And here's our wind shift line. Right here, though, see, Iola, you've had the rain. 71 is where you're sitting. But we got a lot of locations out ahead of it. Still warmer, upper 70s and some low 70s, but still above average. Eventually, about low 80s by 9, mid 80s by noon, upper 80s for our highs. With all the humidity, though, from these storms, we're still looking at heat index values that could easily approach 100, and we'll have a southwest breeze around 5 to 10. So a lot to keep an eye on. We want to monitor the storms, and in between the storms, you want to monitor the heat as it's still going to be pretty muggy out there. We'll have another look at your forecast, talk about these storms and the upcoming weekend here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, a high-speed chase through Pittsburgh ends with a crash and arrest after a domestic disturbance call early yesterday morning. Police responded to a report near the intersection of East 7th and North Elm, where a man fled in a silver Nissan Sentra. The pursuit took officers east to Joplin Street and then headed south, covering several blocks before ending at the National Mini Storage Facility. There, the suspect crashed into a fence in a storage building. After a brief struggle, officers took him into custody. Paramedics treated the suspect before transporting him to the hospital. A search of the vehicle uncovered cocaine and other illegal drugs. Investigators learned the suspect had battered and threatened 2 women prior to the chase. He now faces multiple felony and misdemeanor charges and is currently held in the Crawford County Jail without bond. And be the first to see breaking news, whether in sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, boots hit the ground in Joplin as experts and volunteers at Wildcat Glades began pulling up 2 invasive plants, the cercia, and the wind creeper. Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe signed a new bill Monday to combat the proliferation of 6 non-invasive plants in the Show Me State. Local experts say it's a much-needed service to protect the native landscape.
So a lot of times, like with the winter creeper, it's sold as a decorative plant, and people plant it in their yards. And if it's allowed to grow up trees, it will produce berries that can be carried by birds, and it'll get planted places like this, or it gets carried away in floods. And when the creek level rises, it all ends up dispersing on our banks.
Now, the law takes effect on August 28th. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes coming up on the KOAM Morning News. President Trump lashes out over the Epstein files and floats firing the Fed chair. Plus, how healthy habits in childhood could protect your heart. And we're keeping an eye on hot and humid conditions across the region. We're also tracking storms that could develop later. Chris returns with another look at your forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Well, topping Nation Watch this morning, a growing chorus of Republicans are criticizing how President Trump's administration is handling documents related to convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. The president is calling the controversy a hoax, and Republicans pressing the issue weaklings. Sources tell CBS News that Trump's Justice Department has fired one of the lead prosecutors in that case. It comes as the president is sending mixed signals on whether or not he intends to fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
Mr. President. President Donald Trump, peppered with questions about Jeffrey Epstein,
I call it the Epstein hoax,
is slamming his own supporters, still requesting documents linked to the once well-connected convicted sex trafficker.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
Breaking overnight, 3 sources tell CBS News the Justice Department fired federal prosecutor Maureen Comey, daughter of ex-FBI Director James Comey, and who helped in cases against Epstein, his accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell, and most recently Sean Diddy Combs. Before the election, President Trump suggested he would consider releasing Epstein files and a rumored client list, which last week the DOJ said doesn't exist. Trump's former vice president last night on CBS News.
I just think we ought to get the facts to the American people.
Meanwhile, President Trump is confirming he asked GOP lawmakers if he should fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell.
I don't rule out anything, but I think it's highly unlikely.
The president has bashed Powell for months over the Fed's refusal to cut interest rates. Some Republicans warn firing the Federal Reserve Chair could tank the stock market. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Now, some Republicans have questioned if President Trump has the authority to fire the Fed chair before his term ends in May of 2026. Yesterday, the president suggested a caveat that he could remove Chairman Powell if there is cause. Now, he has accused Powell of fraud related to the Fed's multi-year $2 billion renovation project. Powell has said that there have been inaccurate claims made about the renovations, and he has asked for an independent review of the project. Well, still to come, police bust a teen subway surfer spotted on top of trains. We'll take a look. Plus, hot and humid today with storms possible later. Chris returns with another look at your forecast. Well, authorities in New York City are using high-flying, high-tech drones to combat a disturbing and dangerous trend known as subway surfing. Jeremy Roth explains in today's Take a Look at This.
4 teenagers are lucky to be unharmed after an NYPD police drone spotted them taking part in an extremely dangerous activity known as subway surfing. The shocking video captured the teens, ranging from ages 12 to 16, riding on top of the fast-moving train as it traveled through the Bronx, according to News 12. After authorities relayed the train's position, it was stopped and held at a nearby station, and the 4 teens were taken into custody. NYPD officials say since launching drone operations in late 2023 to combat this risky riding trend, 200 subway surfers have been apprehended. The video has been gaining traction on social media, where the consensus seems to be that this dangerous activity is less an extreme sport and more just extremely foolish. Another thrill seeker appeared to escape serious injury when their paragliding journey was cut short by power lines.
Whoa! Oh no!
An eyewitness captured the incident on camera as the paraglider came in low over North Dakota's Red River and struck the electrical lines, setting off a large spark. The pilot and his craft then splashed down into the river. He was eventually retrieved by emergency officials and, according to KVLY, was unharmed by the shocking close call. Look, kids, if you're going to risk life and limb on extreme sports, do it the right way. You know, when you're a grandmother. Just look at 86-year-old fearless freefaller Kim Noor, who has been hurling herself out of perfectly good airplanes for decades and, according to WABC, is flying towards an ultimate goal of reaching 1,000 lifetime jumps. She says taking the big leap is all about living in the moment. I say no more and just soar, Kim Noor. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Let's take it over now to Chris for a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we're continuing to track showers and thunderstorms. New ones continuing to develop out there as well. We're going to break it all down for you when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:18 coming up on 5:19 on this Thursday morning. Thunderstorms rolling through the area. Earlier this morning, did have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. We do not have any active at this time, but we will take a quick look. So here, you may remember we came on the air. These were just, this was just a little shower here. Couple of showers around Hepler and then back toward Pawnee. Now we're getting these full-blown thunderstorms developing. See, we backed this up even just to the start of the show at 5 a.m. and we come in 20 minutes later. So we do have an unstable environment in place that is helping to fuel thunderstorm development, and that's why we're seeing some out there. We also have some thunderstorms. We had some small hail at least showing up on radar with this storm here in Chautauqua County earlier. It's lifting north, and that's going to be the oddity, is some of these storms here in the southern portion of our area are actually lifting north right now, whereas the main line here that stretches now from Eureka toward Yates Center, Iola, getting ready to roll in to Chanute, Fredonia, Howard, and eventually into Erie and Fort Scott here, it's moving south and east. Now again, no severe thunderstorm warnings with this activity at this time. Earlier this morning, the storm's leading edge into Lynn and Anderson County did have a warning associated with it for 60-mile-an-hour winds, and winds are going to be the primary concern with any of these storms, but also take a look at all this electrical activity out there. A lot of lightning strikes across the region. You can also see briefly where those warnings flared up for a little bit this morning, and then we see where there's new development here that's been taking place, leading edge of this thing, and now we're getting new development out ahead of it here into parts of Crawford and Bourbon counties. So again, an emphasis right now, nothing severe, but we'll continue to monitor it as it rolls through the area this morning. We do have a low risk for some damaging wind gusts in the southern half of our area. Again, this is for day one, which is for today, but it officially kicks in here in the next couple of hours. So we could still see a strong storm or two on the northern edge as this line starts to sink south. Better storm chances initially are from now through early afternoon. Once this line pushes through, we're looking more so at more scattered activity in the southern portion of our area through the late afternoon into the evening, and maybe even a brief pause before we see new development take place overnight tonight, very early tomorrow morning. Not anticipating anything severe with this activity, but again, something we'll keep an eye on for sure. This will continue through about 5 o'clock Friday, as you can see, and as we get closer to 11 o'clock noon tomorrow, this activity begins to roll out, and then we start to get pretty darn hot and toasty. There's something else we need to talk about, and it's about our temperatures today, which we're going to get to in just a moment here. We're upper 70s to start the day, and right around the mid 80s by 11. We'll have these scattered storms again, best chances now through the morning hours. However, our highs today are actually maybe a degree or two cooler, depending on how much rain you get and when. But we're looking at maybe the upper 80s to about 90. It's just near or slightly below average. But all the humidity, all the moisture these storms are drawing in is going to increase our heat index values. And we're still looking at, this is one of those things where it gets super muggy here. Even though we're talking upper 80s, we are looking at heat index values today still approaching 100 degrees in between these storms. So do make sure you're paying attention, staying hydrated, being careful out there. Again, isolated to scattered storms through the evening, and then overnight we'll get additional development in the low mid 70s. Winds will be calm out there. I will have those scattered storms first half of our Friday, and then after that it gets really hot, low to mid 90s. We're talking mid, maybe even some upper 90s through the weekend. Sunny skies, pop-up storms for Monday and Tuesday, and still looking at the possibility of closing in on triple digits toward the end of next week. Let's check your forecast. We're going to send it over to Elise now with Health Watch.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, your heart health during childhood could lower your risk for many diseases later in life. A study by the American Heart Association found having good heart health from birth up to adolescence lowers risk of cancer, dementia, diabetes, and lung, liver, and kidney disease. Parents can protect their child's heart health by prioritizing healthy diets, physical activity, and good sleep. And popular weight loss drugs are changing how people date. A survey by Indiana University found among men and women who take GLP-1 injections, 14% say they're getting more matches on dating apps, and 16% say exes and former partners reached out to reconnect. 13% said they felt more confident posting photos of themselves online. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 5:30, the Bourbon County Fair kicks off in Fort Scott with fun and games and plenty of livestock.
And scattered thunderstorms pushing into the area. A lot of lightning with some of these storms. We're going to have a look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, kids in McDonald County, Missouri get hands-on learning in the field of robotics.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:26. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. It's now Thursday, it's July the 17th,
Right.
and we've got thunderstorms pushing through the air. We mentioned they'd be here this morning, and here they certainly are, but a few more of them, I think, than what even Future Track was expecting.
Right.
But we also had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings earlier this morning. We don't have any active now, but I want to show you first off downtown Pittsburgh, and I'm going to explain what you're looking at. Our camera is positioned on the southeast corner of the building. The storm right now, there is a storm immediately northwest of Pittsburgh. So what you're kind of seeing there in the frame is some of the wiring and the pole for that camera. But we pointed it this way because look at the lightning. This storm has flared up in the last half hour. And we're going to show it to you on radar, and it is intensifying quickly. It is not severe by any means at this point. It's just picked up a lot of lightning, and we're up to roughly 20 strikes in the last about 15 minutes out of this storm. MoDOT camera 20th in range line looking good, and I want to show you that storm now. So first up, we're going to show you all the storms. You can see we've got a line that actually stretches pretty far across the area and is now connecting with more storms across far western Oklahoma. But we have this one, and it's just a point of interest because we've got a camera right there on it. But this particular storm, just in the last half hour, I mean, we go back to 5 a.m., just a shower. And we are up to now, so it's rolling into Girard. Quite a bit of lightning with this, quite a bit of lightning with all these storms. In fact, in our entire area, all of the storms so far averaging a little over 500 lightning strikes in the last about half hour or so out there. So we'll continue to monitor these storms as they develop. You can see we've got these new showers now rolling into parts of Barton, Vernon County. We head back to the west. We're going to start back here into northern Chautauqua, southern Elk County. We have some storms out there. We are still seeing, at least radar is picking up on some small, so sub-severe hail with some of this activity. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Stretches back up. We're in between now the 54 corridor and points south of that. And so Twin Grove, Verdigris, Chanute, Fredonia, you are next on this. Yates Center, you're in it. Iola, you're in between. Fort Scott, it is knocking on your door. We've course, got that storm back there into Crawford County as well. And again, just a lot of lightning. Now, earlier, again, we had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. You'll see them briefly pop up here on the loop for Anderson and Lynn counties. Those expired about 45 minutes ago. We do not have any active warnings, but take a look at this. Look at how quickly that flares up, and then look at all of that lightning. Same with this activity out here. All of this flaring up pretty quickly. It's joining in part of a cold front that's pushing into the area. Now, unfortunately, this cold front doesn't do a lot for our temperatures, but it does bring us these storm chances, and we still have a level 1 out of 5 risk for damaging wind gusts. Now, this is for as we go past about 7, 8 o'clock this morning, so we could still see some stronger storms back behind this zone. This is going to be heading into the afternoon and evening today. Future track our best chances for more organized, more widespread storms between now and say about noon, 1 o'clock. Then they'll be more scattered into the afternoon and late evening before we see new development overnight tonight. Very warm ahead of this front. 78 in Joplin, 77 in Pittsburgh, around the region. You can see the cooler temperatures there. You can see the wind shift line. You can see where that front is. We've got the 70s out there. All of us above normal, but see Iola Yates Center getting into that rain. Temperatures have come back a bit. We're looking at low 80s by 9, mid 80s by noon. Highs today really only to the upper 80s, about 90, but heat index values still expected to approach near 100 degrees just because of all of this moisture, all this energy being pulled in for these storms. We'll continue to monitor the storms as they roll through this morning, and we'll have a look at your weekend forecast here in just a few more minutes. Lise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, the Bourbon County Fair kicked off yesterday in Fort Scott. The annual event gives agriculture competitors a chance to showcase their livestock in various categories, such as dairy and beef cattle. The fair also offers plenty of good food, fun, and games.
I like hanging out with my friends and the animals and having new experiences.
Hanging out with my friends and all the opportunities I get and learning experiences and the cornhole tournament.
The theme for this year's fair is Create a Fairy Tale. The Bourbon County Fair was first held back in 1860. Veteran job seekers in the Sunflower State might be in luck. Kansas Works is hosting a Hiring a Veteran Day virtual job fair. Now, while the job fair is open to all job seekers, it's primarily aimed at veterans making the transition to civilian careers. The virtual event will take place Friday, July 25th from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can head over to KOAMNewsNow.com for more information. And after 25 years, the Greenlaw time capsule was opened last night at the Cherokee County Fair, revealing memories of a lost school. Buried in 2000, the capsule's outside reads Y2K Time Capsule, standing for Yes to Kids, with instructions to open this year. Now, inside, memories like letters from students and teachers and symbols of the time, like a Pikachu keychain and Pokemon card, all celebrating a school that closed 14 years after the capsule's burial. Greenlaw Elementary was built in 1968. The rural school received a charter status in 1998 and started busing in students in from other areas for its technology-focused education. But a change in state funding ended that, and by its closure in 2014, only 37 students attended grades K through 5. The time capsule's contents will be on display at the Columbus School Board office throughout July for everyone to explore. Well, the McDonald County Robotics Camp is underway at the McDonald County High School. The camp is now in its second year and has doubled in size. KOAM's Ty Parks shows us how the kids are using robots to learn coding and much more.
It's good for your mind to challenge yourself and learn new things. So I joined thinking that I would be able to do that.
Thad Moffitt is challenging himself in the McDonald County Robotics Camp. Kids are divided into 3 groups. The first 2 designed for younger children like Moffitt, who are learning basic coding and construction.
And in each of the groups, they start to do something that's a little bit more challenging. So with mine, we give them robots that are already just one robot. You can touch buttons on it to make it go or stop or whatever you want it to do. But you can also code it to do what you want it to do. And then they build things and add on to it. But then once you go to the next group up, they are building their own robots that they use remote controls to use or code their own robots to move. And then in the step up past that, they're building with like real metal material and doing much larger scale robots.
But for some kids, building and coding a robot can be stressful.
When you build one, you feel like happy and you think that like you have anxiety, like is it going to work or is it going to fail? So when I'm building it, I just think of the bright side and I think that it'll work.
So our main goal is to introduce STEM to children young. We were noticing that in McDonald County especially, and in districts even around us, kids weren't getting a hands-on STEM lesson until they got to high school and had the choice to take it.
The camp is more than just lines of ones and zeros.
A lot of people might like it because you get to build stuff. It's really fun here, and all the teachers are really nice, and I like it. I think kids will have a lot of fun, even adults, because this is a very fun thing for any age, because you just get to build, and like you can build a lot of stuff, and there's no really limit to what you can build, and I think a lot of people enjoy that.
And for kids like Moffett, who enjoy the opportunity to grow and learn through STEM. In McDonald County, Ty Parks, KOAM News.
You can check out the student-made robots at the McDonald County Fair, which starts today. And let's look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, a Newton County official pushes back against a state-recommended increase in property assessment rates. Plus, a massive piece of Mars just sold for millions. We'll tell you who snagged the space rock and how it landed on Earth. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. In Consumer Watch, President Trump claimed on social media that he may have persuaded Coca-Cola to begin using real cane sugar in its namesake soft drink. President Trump claimed on social media that he may have persuaded him, though so far Coca-Cola has not confirmed it. Now, in a statement to CBS News, the company spokesperson responded saying, quote, "We appreciate President Trump's enthusiasm for our iconic Coca-Cola brand. More details on new innovative offerings within our Coca-Cola product range will be shared soon." Well, someone is shelling out a lot of green for a piece of the red planet. Now, according to Sotheby's, an unidentified bidder has purchased the largest piece of Mars on Earth for more than $5 million. Sotheby's believes the 54-pound chunk came from a meteorite that was likely dislodged from the planet in an asteroid strike. The space rock was discovered in the Sahara Desert 2 years ago. And back to school shopping has already begun, if you can believe it. A new survey from the National Retail Federation finds that 67% of consumers have already begun hitting stores, up from 55% last year. More than half of those surveyed said concerns over tariffs drove their decision to buy early, while 82% said they planned their shopping around big July sales events at retailers like Amazon, Target, and Walmart. The National Retail Federation predicts Americans will spend more than $128 billion this year on back-to-school shopping. Well, the Newton County, Missouri assessor is at odds with the State Tax Commission over the state's request to raise property assessment values. 80 counties in Missouri were informed by the commission they were out of compliance with state law and were told to raise property assessment values. But the Newton County assessor is refusing to raise them by the amount requested, even as the State Tax Commission takes action against her. KOAM Samantha Walker has the story.
They said, well, you just put a 12% straight across the county on everybody. And I said, no, I am not doing that. My county can't afford it. So I withstood my ground.
Like dozens of other counties in Missouri, Newton County fell out of compliance with their property assessment valuations, currently assessing properties at 77% of market value. State law says assessments have to be within 90 to 110% of market value. Non-compliant counties received a letter from the State Tax Commission asking them to raise property valuations. But Newton County Assessor Cheryl Perkins says she's not signing a letter of understanding from the State Tax Commission asking her office to raise county property tax valuations by 12%.
The cost of living is going up, our utilities are going up, our insurances are going up, and we just can't afford another huge increase. I would not do it even if I had time to put a 12% on somebody overnight or in one tax year. I won't do it.
She says she wants to be in compliance and she also wants to follow Missouri state law, but she feels like this increase needs to be more gradual.
We do need to be in compliance because we do need to be at value, but we can't get there overnight when we didn't fall out of compliance overnight.
In a May meeting, the State Tax Commission voted to withhold 2026 assessment maintenance funds from 14 counties, including Newton County, for their refusal to sign the letter of understanding and upping property assessments to their desired amount. Those maintenance funds are used by Assessor's Office to pay for salaries, supplies, and work vehicles. In Newton County, the amount being withheld is more than $108,000.
Newton County's assessment fund is in good shape, and we can take the blow, and I will do it for the people.
But she says the State Tax Commission is likely to take further action, from removing her from office to withholding more funds.
Our next plan is to try to hold all the sales tax from the counties to where they have no operating money to make the assessor raise the values.
Perkins says she will continue to fight any significant increases in future years, something she says the commission is planning, but emphasizes not every assessor has the same ability to refuse like her, so she encourages community members to reach out to their lawmakers if they want to see change. Reporting in Newton County, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
KOAM has reached out to the Missouri State Tax Commission for comment. We have not yet received a response. Now to look at Consumer Watch this morning. Now here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, some of us are waking up to a rather loud start to the day with thunderstorms pushing through this morning. We're going to take a look at these thunderstorms, break down what we're expecting today into tomorrow, and how our weekend is shaping up when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Well, if you love tomatoes, you could soon be paying more for them. The reason why in today's Ag Day Minute.
I'm Michelle Rook with today's Ag Day Minute. You could soon be paying more for tomatoes at the grocery store. The U.S. has announced it's putting a tariff of about 17% on Mexican tomato imports. It comes after the Department of Commerce announced it was withdrawing from an agreement that suspended an anti-dumping investigation involving fresh tomatoes from Mexico. The agreement had allowed Mexican producers to export tomatoes without paying anti-dumping duties. A recent report by Arizona State University said ending the agreement would increase the price of all tomatoes in the U.S. Texas's Attorney General said he has begun investigating candy maker Mars for its alleged refusal to remove synthetic food dyes from its products. Ken Paxton saying in a statement he issued a civil investigative demand for documents from Mars. He claims the company, known for M&Ms and Skittles, has not fulfilled its 2016 pledge to remove all artificial colors from its food products. And here's your chance to honor a favorite farmer in your community. Culver's is launching its annual Two Farmers with Love contest. It's inviting guests to nominate a farmer making a meaningful impact in their community. The winner will attend a Tim McGraw concert at the Field of Dreams movie site or the Velocity Music Festival in Dyersville, Iowa. The contest runs through August 1st. For more Ag News, watch Ag Day weekdays on this station or get updates at agweb.com.
Here's Chris with the full look at your forecast.
Yeah, we are going to start with the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Again, some of you waking up to a fairly loud start to the day. In fact, across our region, we've had roughly 400 lightning strikes. So the number has actually come down a bit, but that's still quite a bit of lightning, getting quite a bit from the storm that's near Girard right now. So we're going to start in our northern counties up here. So Fort Scott, you are getting into these thunderstorms now. Nevada, you'll be up next for some of this. Bronson, back toward Hepler. And as I mentioned, Girard, and again, just this one's just a great one we can go back and take a look at. 5 o'clock in the morning, it was barely a shower, and it very rapidly turned into a thunderstorm. What's interesting about it is it's moving northeast, but the line of storms itself moving southeast, stretching along the or back toward the west along the 39 corridor. So Chanute, Fredonia, Erie, you're up next for this. You're probably already hearing it. Neodesha, you'll eventually get in on the action. Howard in the thick of it, as well as northern portions of Chautauqua. Chautauqua County. All of these storms, many of these actually developed within the last couple of hours, and you can watch the ones there in southeast Kansas around the Wellington area south of Wichita flare up very quickly and kind of join in with this line as it pushes to the south and east. Now, no severe thunderstorm warnings with any of this activity. We did have a couple again early this morning, but they expired just over an hour ago. It was in Anderson and Lynn counties. The line continuing to push off to the south and east with this development, so it's all joining in. In fact, it stretches all the way back with isolated storms back through parts of far western Oklahoma. So most of us will get thunderstorm activity this morning, and some of them still could be strong to low-grade severe with winds upwards of about 60 miles an hour being the primary concern. Now, again, on day one for today, this really kicks in about 8 o'clock. So some of the storms that are still back behind this zone could still intensify and become low-grade severe. So we're going to watch them all for you. We'll have the best chances for storms today between now and about, say, 1, 2 o'clock this afternoon. After that, we'll start to see scattered storms, but not nearly as widespread as what we're getting right now across the area. In fact, some of us might get some extended pauses. That's where our other concern comes in. While our high temperatures today may not be over the top like they were yesterday, we're still going to have a lot of humidity, a lot of high dew points. All the energy for these storms will still be in place. We're still looking at heat index values today easily approaching 100. So even if you're in between the rain showers, be prepared for some pretty thick air out there. Late this evening, another little pause in activity, and then overnight, more storms begin to develop into southeastern Kansas, parts of northeastern Oklahoma. So here we are at 2 a.m. By 5, again, this batch of storms starts to roll off to the east, and it will continue to do so. Still a few lingering scattered showers and maybe a few thunderstorms by 9 on Friday. Then by noon, that's it. They start to clear out, and it starts to get pretty darn hot again. Future track, now this is actually an update since the last time we saw this about 45 minutes ago, showing maybe some evening thunderstorms trying to get going on Friday. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Upper 70s to start our day, mid 80s by 11 with those scattered storms out there. And again, some of those could be strong to low grade severe. Again, we're going to make upper 80s for most of us to about 90, but those heat index values still close to 100. They'll be back in that 100 to 105 degree range tomorrow as we head into the mid 90s, and maybe even some upper 90s as we roll into next week. Hot for this weekend and sunny out there. Heat index values still high, and maybe some pop-up storms next Monday and Tuesday. That's checking your forecast. We're going to send it over to Elise now with sports.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, on Tuesday, some of baseball's top stars from the American. No, it's on. I don't know. My mic's not working, but it's definitely on. There we go. Well, on Tuesday, some of baseball's top stars from the American and National League battled in the 95th edition of the MLB All-Star Game at Truist Park in Atlanta, and it did not disappoint. The American League entering the night as winners in 10 of the last 11 All-Star Game matchups. The scoring would start early. Diamondbacks, Kettle Mart giving the National League an early 2-0 lead with a 2-run double. Shohei Ohtani and Ronald Acuna Jr. scoring on the play, and the pitching would show its strength until the 6th inning, with the Mets' star Pete Alonso getting the crowd on their feet with a 3-run blast to the opposite field, making it 5-0. And the NL wasn't done there in the inning as another Diamondback, Corbin Carroll, brings the fireworks and clears the ball for a solo round tripper. Trailing 6-0 in the 7th, it was the American League's turn as former Kansas City Royal and current A's slugger Brent Rooker cuts the deficit in half with a 3-run homer to left center. Moving to the 9th, 1-run game, and after driving in his second RBI of the night, Royals' Bobby Witt Jr. scoring the game-tying run on this infield single from Guardians' Stephen Kwan. Now, as we're heading to a home run derby swing off, 3 players from each side getting 3 swings, and Rooker would hit another 2-homer to give the AL an early lead in the tiebreaker. National League trailing by a pair of long balls. Phillies star Kyle Schwarber stealing the show with not 1, not 2, but 3 moonshots, capped off by this Reggie Jackson-style finish. As the National League takes home the All-Star Game crown with 7-6 tiebreaker win, Schwarber takes home the MVP trophy after his powerful performance
in the swing-off. As the All-Star game has come and gone, the highly anticipated trade deadline now takes center stage with the first domino falling yesterday morning. As the Royals are bringing back a familiar face for a second-half playoff push, acquiring Adam Frazier from the Pittsburgh Pirates for Cam Daveney. Frazier spent the 2024 season in KC as part of the Royals team that made their first postseason appearance since 2015. Now, this season, Frazier is hitting .255 in 78 games. His average is higher than any Royals bench bat that isn't named Freddie Fermin, and he'll look to provide a spark to the Kansas City lineup. That's a look at sports. We'll be right back. Well, nominees for television's top honor, the Emmys, were announced earlier this week. Now, if you missed them, Apple TV Plus his series Severance led the way with 27 nominations. The Penguin on HBO Max collected 24. The Studio and The White Lotus each picked up 23 nominations. The 77th Primetime Emmy Awards will be broadcast live on CBS on September 14th. Comedian Nate Bargatze is set to host.
By the way, if you've never seen anything from Nate, he is hilarious.
Oh, just the best.
Oh my gosh, he is amazing. You can find a lot of his clips on TikTok. The wife likes to show them to me a lot, and they are hilarious. So if you're needing a good laugh for the day, especially on a rainy day, and you want to stay in where it's not so hot, that's a good way to spend your time. All right, upper 70s by 8 o'clock this morning, mid 80s by 11. Scattered storms like we're seeing now. Some of them could be strong to low grade severe, with gusty winds as the primary concern. Storms become scattered or even isolated in some cases through the afternoon. Highs today upper 80s to about 90, but our heat index value is still approaching 100. So even if it stops raining and you're going to do some stuff outside, be ready for that air to be very thick. We're going to fall back mid 70s by 10, low to mid 70s overnight. More scattered storms with more development expected overnight. Some thunderstorms through the first portion of our Friday. By the afternoon, they are gone. Highs low to mid 90s. Heat index values tomorrow approaching 105 and staying hot into the weekend. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more right after this.